My name is Courtney Roes. I'm with a ministry called EDOT. We are Electronic Discipleship Outreach and Training. We're a ministry of Greater Europe Mission, if you've ever heard of that. And I am EDOT's Technology Architect, which is a title that I got to give myself. Hey. We started? Just started. Do I? My job is to work with different groups, European or European-based ministries and nationals, and helping them do whatever God has called them to do more effectively through technology. And so that comes in many, many different forms, from helping Bible schools transition to online learning, to computer centers for helping people get jobs, to text messaging systems for broadcast outreach, to, we do a lot of stuff. So let's get into it. Just so I can get a little bit of an idea, hope you got your phones out, because I'd like you to text in. If this right here is more what you are, text A to that number. If that in the middle is more like you, text B to that number. If that last part is more like you, text C to that number. And I'll give you, texting is fast. While you're doing that, just a story of texting. One of the guys I was working with, he said, I can't get my head around this texting thing, but my son does. And they lived in America at the time, and his son was taking the SAT. And his son walked in to take the SAT and realized he manages all the umpires for the local baseball Little League. And he'd forgotten to tell one of his umpires which baseball diamond to go to. Well, you can't have phones in the SAT during testing. So he thought about it and went, okay. So he reached into his pocket, turned on his phone, all in his pocket, found the guy's phone number, texted him which diamond to go to, confirmed that it got sent, turned off his phone without his hand ever leaving his pocket. People are texting. So, all right. Let you guys go through that. So what I want to do today is I want us to go through kind of an SMS checklist. When I approach a project, and let me just say, I don't consider myself an expert in texting. I've just done a lot of research to try and help different groups utilize it in what they're trying to do. So I really would hope that if you've got something, we'll have some time where we can share good experiences and put things out there. So I'd love to hear back from you guys as well as to your all's experiences, or if I say something that you're like, wait a second, please let me know. But SMS, this is how I approach projects when I'm wanting to. So the first thing that I always say is we need to define our end goals. You have to go to what you're wanting the end to be before you can proceed with beginning to start the project. So what is it you're wanting to accomplish? What are those goals? Where do you want to see us at the finish line with this? Is it one of the projects that I was looking at, they wanted women in domestic violence situations to be able to get counseling, be able to contact the police, and to record different events for later use in judicial proceedings. So that's what they wanted to have at the end. Those are the things you need to think about. What is it you're wanting to have happen in the end before you begin? And one of the things too is I've worked in these projects and people want to go, hey, I like this technology, let's see what we can do with it and move with it. And we need to be pushed by what we're trying to accomplish, not by the technology. Because honestly, when you let technology push you, it can be really bad. So if you can't read that, because we didn't know we were going to do this, it says, hey Moses, look, this is a pretty big, huge desert. He's like, relax, I got Apple Maps. How long did this possibly take? So don't be pushed by technology. Let technology be secondary to what you're trying to accomplish. once you define your goals, then you need to define your process. This can be worked out in however you project manage. In my case, I'm a whiteboard guy. I have whiteboards around my office, and I'm always just, okay, here, and change this, and oh, see, this goes this way, and I think through the process. How are we going to interact? What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to get to that end result, that end goal that we're talking about? And I work through the process, not dealing with technology, talking about interactions. Maybe looking at it at, okay, our end users, what the system needs to be able to handle, what we're going to manually do, what this group is going to be about. You might look at all those different players in the process, but you need to sit and define it. And I like doing whiteboard because, like, I make mistakes all the time. Oh, this needs to go here. No, it doesn't. This needs to go here. So work with that. Now, once you define your process, you need to define your technical requirements. And one of the things for SMS situations is I've come up with is another checklist. I like checklists. I like lists. I like to think. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I do something, if it's not on my list, I'll write it down on my list so I can just scratch it off. I like that feeling. So I like checklists, and this is a technical functional requirements checklist for SMS systems. Let's look at it. One of the things you need to look at, and you go back to your process. When you have your process defined, then you can sit there and go, okay, do I need outbound SMSs? That's usually the first thing people think about in text messaging campaigns, is outbound. You know, it's that sending out, broadcasting. Might be sending out 5 at a time, maybe like in a thing where you're just updating a small group with an event, or maybe you're broadcasting 10,000 because you're doing, you know, some huge Billy Graham event. Outbound is still outbound, and you need to look at those things. Sometimes you want, within outbound, you want to look at group creation, where you're looking at it and going, okay, these people need to receive this because they're defined this way in the system, and these people need to receive this text message, and these people receive this text message. So do you have that, or is everybody in one group? So you might want to look at group creation. Inbound SMS. This is when you're wanting somebody to send you an SMS. You're collecting data. You're collecting information, and something's coming to you. Is that happening in your process? Not every place has inbound. Almost always in an SMS you have outbound, but not always do you have inbound. Within inbound, though, you got to look at different things. And if you notice, I got these as check marks, but then when you have an inbound, it's a choice. Do I need a short code? And a short code are those 4 little digits. You see, you know, in major campaigns, they say, you know, text Red Cross to 44608. You know, or it can be 4 or 5 digits long, but it's short. A long code is like a full phone number. Here in America, it's 10 digits. Other countries, it can be shorter or longer. But it's just like a regular phone number. Are you needing that short code? Because some people feel that elevates you to a level. And we're going to talk more about each of these pieces from a technological point in a minute. But people feel that having a short code gives you more prestige, more validity in using it. So is that something you need because you're going to be on a massive scale? Or is it something, as will a long code do for you? With that also, especially in international situations, does it need to be a local number? Does it need to be a number within that country? Or can they use an international? And that's where you're putting onus on the people sending you information. Are they willing to pay the cost for having it be a long distance phone number or not? Keywords. Keywords are things like, just like what I had you guys at the beginning do. Keywords were A, B, or C. So when you see things in text systems that say, text this word to this number, that's a keyword. And from that, it's great because you can say, oh, if they do this, then we'll do this. If they send this in, then we'll do this. So keywords are a great way of having, in programmer language, the if-then statements. Gateways. What happens when you want to transition from text messaging to something else? Maybe it's, I want a text message to come in, but then I want it to initiate email of some sort and go into an email format. Or maybe you have an email in your process that's to initiate text messaging. Is that something in your technical requirements? Maybe you have it going into website interactions to be able to do it. So is that something you're needing there? Data collection. And we'll talk more about this, but are you collecting data? When I gave that example of this domestic violence group, one of the things they were just collecting data to be able to use in judicial proceedings against the person abusing them. They just want to collect, I'm being abused right now. They didn't want the police coming for fear of some reason, so they just want it documented. Here's what's going on. Maybe you're doing something else. When Haiti happened, they had text numbers to be able to text in. This person is under the rubble at this location. And when they got multiple reports there, they knew how to send responders to those locations. And those things were being able to be texted because they were collecting the data. Metrics. Bad word. Where's Keith? But no, anytime we're doing projects, we've got people who are going to want to talk metrics, and so this is almost always going to be checked. Because you always got to be able to understand, is what we're doing meeting those end goals that we're trying to do? The key thing is having the right questions being answered. Keith and I had a talk about metrics last night. So, once you define your technical requirements, you've gone through that checklist, then you need to choose your technology. And again, it goes back to that technical requirements document. And so outbound. I want to talk about some of the different systems that you can use for outbound. By all means, these are not exhaustive lists that I'm going to show you. But if you've never heard of, and by the way, this is a Prezi presentation that I will have available for you to get off from down online. I love music. Anyway, Twilio is a great system here in the U.S. we're using for outbound. It actually is international as well. Groups like Clickatel, if you ever sit there, especially in international situations, wanting to send out a lot of text messages to a lot of places like Clickatel and SMS, they're these gateways, and they've worked out the contracts with major cell phone carriers in most of the world today. So if you want to have one way of sending out to the world, subscribers around the world, things like Clickatel, SMS, Twilio has a lot of coverage as well. And you can go to their websites and you can see how they go out. And when you buy in bulk, it gets cheaper. These guys have negotiated rates. So, I live in Germany. Supposedly, it's supposed to be 19 cents a text message, Euro cents that is, which is more than American. But with Clickatel, I can send out at about 8 cents a message. In other countries, I've seen it as low as less than a penny. So they work out those things, and they've got great APIs to work with. Frontline SMS, which is what we just used, is a system. It's for nonprofits. It was designed. It's all running right here locally. I can hook up this phone to it and work. I actually am using a USB GSM modem to do inbound and outbound. You can send outbound with Frontline SMS. Here's one of the things you kind of look at is your capacity. Frontline SMS, cheap alternative, not very fast. Clickatel, I can send out 1,000 in, I don't know, I think it's like 40 seconds or something like that, if they're not all the same country. So, huge difference in speed. Frontline SMS's outbound is like, I think it's somewhere around 10 to 12 messages tops per minute. So, other ones, my SMS. I like this one. I use this one in my everyday. It works with my Android. It has a client here on my laptop, but it actually sends via data to my phone and then uses my phone as the modem to send out my messages. So my phone never leaves my pocket. I'm sitting there texting my wife or everybody that I know off my computer, and I can sit there and run that way. So for cheap, you can just grab a cheap Android, plug it in. As long as it's got cell phone connection and network connection, wherever you are in the world, you can sit there and send text messages. So it's also a way, if you're not physically in the location, you get that device in that location and you can use it that way. Google Voice here in America, only in America, has outbound capabilities. So you got freeness. Now it has limits to how many per day you can send, but if you're doing a small campaign, here's a free way of sending out text messages. And again, I've got Google Voice clients on my laptop, on my smartphone. It's great. I actually use that. That's how my wife and I communicate. Even though we're both in Germany, through data, we're sending texts in America to each other. Text Magic is a center out there for sending out ones. Let's see. Yeah, Text Magic is another one. Greater Calling, which I'm going to let you talk about, because I know of you, but I don't know your stuff real well. But it's another option for you to look at.
One thing I'll say, Courtney, real quick,
yeah,
is the difference between the, you have to be careful with the freebies and there's a love-hate relationship with the carriers. They think you're doing commercial sending because then that means revenue out of their pocket. They will shut you down or block those numbers, or so they're meant for small use, family use.
Yes.
So the minute you start pumping a bunch of text messages through, they monitor that.
And
they'll come get you and shut you down.
Yeah, Google Voice technically is not for business.
Right.
It is strictly a personal thing. But if you're doing something like, I send out my prayer texts via Google Voice, because I'm only sending it to 25 people.
Right, it's all by volume.
Yeah.
It's all by volume.
Group creation, like I was talking about, some of the systems that are able to do it. One of the things I like about Frontline SMS is that I can come in here and depending on who's sent in what, I've got you now divided up into groups. Because as you came in, I sat there and put in the system, I said, okay, anybody who texts in A, I want them to go into group A. Everybody B, group B. So I can respond to you now based on what you responded to me. And of course, a lot of this you can also, like my SMS will come out of your address book, so you can create groups in your address book and send it out that way. That's one of the ways of doing it there. Or developing your own system. That's sometimes what I do. I'm a web developer, and so I actually do PHP MySQL systems. Frontline SMS actually allows me to interface, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but interface with my website that's strictly running on my laptop, and all of that works that way. So, we'll get to that. Okay, inbound. Inbound is hard, or it gets harder, let me put it that way. A lot of people go, I have to have a shortcode. And I'm going, okay, why do you need a shortcode? Because we need to have that respectability that a shortcode brings. You gotta understand, shortcodes are really expensive. Here in America, you have some regulations on shortcodes so that all the carriers are pulling from the same pool to have a shortcode. But to buy a shortcode is going to cost you over $1,000 a month, plus fees, plus actual sending fees, and with a 3-month minimum. In other countries, you're going to be spending similar prices, but not every country is regulated, so you have to get a shortcode from every carrier you want to be available on. So shortcodes are very difficult to sometimes get, especially if you're doing a multi-country project. You can get shortcodes from Clickatel. They do sell them in a lot of different countries. They've negotiated and worked it out to be able to get those, so they can be an intermediary for you to buy from because they know how to get them. Twilio also does some shortcodes in some countries for inbound texting. or there's the shared shortcode rentals. And what that is usually, you'll see that a lot, where one person has bought a shortcode and they're selling keywords. So you get into their system and they sell you a keyword. So, Red Cross, they don't necessarily own that shortcode. They own the keyword Red Cross. And the company they're using to process all that giving owns the shortcode. And so what happens is the price goes down because not everybody's having to spend $1,000 a month plus sending. Somebody covers that and they've got 100 different clients or more all buying keywords to cover those base costs. So that might be an option to look at and see if somebody is already got a system and they're selling a shortcode keywords that you can share, and that'll lower your costs there. Long code. My favorite comes back to frontline SMS. I'm easily able, and that's what this thing was designed for, I'm easily able to just have minimal hardware. I don't even have to have internet to have inbound, because I can run it all from my laptop. It's using a SIM card and a GSM modem, and it pops right in. But it's a long code number because it's just a regular phone number. It's a regular SMS, just like what you guys did, or SIM card. Clickatel will also sell long codes, and Twilio also sells long codes that you can get for a lot of different countries. Not every country with Twilio or Clickatel, but those are long codes. A lot of times too, you can do a long code. We get back into whether or not it needs to be a local number or an international number. A lot of them will sell, like for Europe, they'll sell you a UK number to handle it all, because at least it's within the geography of it. That's what you need to go back for on that. Okay, just moving on. Keywords. Again, I like frontline SMS for that, because I was able to run those keywords. Here's my programs for running the keywords. You don't send, it's a nice setup. I sit there and go, okay, I want to send an auto reply to anybody who doesn't send A, B, or C. They're going to get this, that wasn't one of the pre-chosen options. If you were to send A, here's what I did. I sat there and said, okay, I want to do an HTTP request, which I'll show you that in a minute, and I wanted you to join a group. I can do things with keywords that way. Again, also self-programmed or the shared shortcode rentals. Gateways. One of the cool things that I've been playing with is an Android app called Servers Ultimate. It's really kind of cool. You get an Android device. It can be a cheap Android cell phone or a tablet that has a SIM card to it, and you put this on here. This allows you to actually run an HTTPS server or an FTP server or a POP3 server, but they also have SMS gateways. So you can do inbound SMS to email, and it'll come in and it'll go out via the email account that you process, or you can set up all these different rules. It's a lot of fun. So if you're needing a gateway, sometimes just having a little Android device is perfect for it, because it operates as the modem and as the computer. Frontline SMS, again, can also do it. It's one of our options down here. And we can, email out of there. Email to SMS, again, Servers Ultimate can do it, Frontline SMS can do it, everything. Website interaction. Again, Server Ultimate can handle those things. Frontline SMS can allow your API systems. The Clickatels, the Intella SMS, all those guys, you can programmatically interface. They've got these great APIs to programmatically interface and do all this gateway stuff as well. Here with this one, so my command is actually just an HTTP get line with a bunch of variables posted to it. In my PHP, I just wrote it, and I grabbed that information and I put it into a MySQL database, And so when we want to know what everybody said, here's our group. So, hey, a tree's moving. Outside the box was 5 people. There is no box, is 9, and 2 people are still stuck inside the box. So, out of our group. And all that was done all on my laptop right here using keywords, an interface, 2 scripts, one to process the inbound, one to create the chart, all in a MySQL database. Data collection, sales, frontline SMS. Obviously, you can easily do that utilizing a web server right on your laptop. Salesforce.com, that was one of the things we did with this group. They wanted to have people, in Istanbul, we did this campaign with billboards. And in the billboards, they could text in and get more information. Well, when they texted in, it ran in through Frontline SMS, which sent out to Salesforce to their API and created a lead in the Salesforce database. And then from there, they could interact and send out via Frontline SMS information, text back to the people and interact with them, all captured within their page in Salesforce. And so therefore, every interaction was documented. So somebody else who came in and go, oh yeah, well here's all the questions they've been asking, we could follow up with them. It was mentioned in this last, earlier tonight, I cannot pronounce this. The what? Okay, that word. This is a great system. It's open source. You can run it on your own servers. They actually do also have a website called CrowdMap, which just basically runs the system, and you can create your own crowd map and utilize their servers to do it. But here it's a way to have inbound coming in, and Frontline SMS will integrate with it. And here's in Syria where they're reporting acts of violence and everything. So that's what they're figuring out, where are there major pockets of violence happening in the Syria situation right now. Or like I did, put it in a MySQL database or some other database and collect your data. Metrics, Google Analytics, metrics all depends on really what you're trying to accomplish. Are you sending them to a website? Are you, stuff like that. And so you can use Google Analytics if you're interfacing with a website. You can, all different types of data collection analysis can be done. That one I'm not going to go into too much, but keep that in mind in your projects. Once you've figured out your technology, then it's time to start designing and developing. And just what I kind of want to say there is, when you're designing and developing, a lot of times I've worked with people who sit there and go, okay, I just want a system that handles what I want to do like this, and they don't really go through the time to really develop it properly. And they make it very difficult for their people that they're trying to reach to actually interact with them. Take the time, go through, design it right, so it's really simple for that person out there to interact with you. Yes, it might be a little bit harder for you to do the work, or it might take more time to develop and do it right, but do it right. Your campaigns, SMS campaigns, will work a whole lot better if you take the time beforehand to properly design so that it's very simple for them to interact with you. But don't make it too simple, as Einstein always said. Don't oversimplify, but do it at the right level. Okay. Then after that, make sure you define your metrics. As you guys know, you're probably reporting to somebody, somebody's investing in this. You need to make sure that they're on board. But with your metrics, once they're defined and integrated in the system, it really helps keep things going. As this one, that cracks me up. Okay, it's for myself. Then you need to market it. And one of the things that, great, I want to do this, well, how do I get people's phone numbers to text to them if I'm doing a broadcast one? Or how do I interact? How do I start getting the interaction? Well, in marketing, you can look at different things. I've seen it used like this, where they're on their website, they collect them. Hey, do you need emergency notification? It all depends on what you're trying to do. If you need emergency notification, great, sign up through your website. Here's another one. Contests. I did this within my own organization just to show it to them. I set up a frontline SMS. We had an annual gathering of all our missionaries in one place. I gave away an iPod, cheap one. But I got like 25 international numbers, which we're not a huge group, and most of them don't travel with their phones at the time. This was, oh goodness, I guess this was like 5 years ago. But contests, people will, hey, yeah, I want to be part of that. I was at an American football game, I don't know, I guess it was 3 years ago, and I looked over and this Bojangles, which is a chicken place, had a thing, hey, text in and you could win. I was like, great, cool, I texted in. Immediately got back, you didn't win. I'm like, the game's not even over yet. Why? But then they sent me promotional material afterwards. Okay? It was great. I didn't want to keep getting it. I will say that's one of the things you want to build into your system is I set up usually keywords. You look down here, you'll see enroll and stop. Always have a way for people to opt out of getting stuff. And keywords can be a great way to do that if you've got inbound texting to do it. Maybe it's coming through the website, have them be able to go to the website and get out. But always have a way of doing that. But people love contests, surveys, things like that. Maybe you're already collecting them. Maybe this is something you're going to be doing within a group you've already got data on. You've already gathered addresses, email addresses. Add mobile phone as one of the things you capture as you talk to them. Maybe it's within a church or group context. Go ahead and have that be one of the things. Now, don't be a spammer. Say, hey, would you check mark this to sign up to receive these texts or whatever. Have that be a part of it. Signs. We did billboards in Istanbul for people to text in. This particular one is to pay for parking in the Netherlands. You go in and you text in, and you can text to get your parking paid so you can park in the city. Signs can be a way. Traditional marketing can be a way to do it through billboards, print ads, things like that. One of the nice things about text messaging, similar to like QR codes, if you're familiar with those, is it is a transition from the physical world to the digital world because it's something that people can do easily. So that can be a part of your thing. Okay. Marketing. Then go live. Do we blow it out there? No, do a beta. Always do a test group, run through, always things like that. It's your basic software development process. But yeah, go live. I'm not going to go through all these things because these are and evaluate and assess. Always going through, are we making the things? Are we reaching those end goals that we're trying to accomplish? So, all right. And with that, your SMS checklist, pretty simple. Go through and you've got your campaign. And back to, if you want to contact me, there's my email address. Or talk to me. With that, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you text answers to various fields in one SMS text, for example, like a comma separated, for example, like a 5-question quiz, and you would put A, E, B, C.
You can do that. You wouldn't do it with a normal keyword. You would probably process it like being a default web programmer, I would just have it all, send that all into a PHP script that evaluates it, parses it and evaluates it. I actually have done that. I did a quiz with a bunch of teenagers one time, and they gave me their phone numbers, and I texted out to them the first question, and it was multiple choice. And if they texted the wrong answer back, it said, nope, try again. and until they got the right answer, and then it would send them the next question, and it was a series of 5 questions. We actually did it as a speed quiz, and the first team to get it right sat down and won a prize. So, does that answer your question?
Within my organization,
Back there?
For inbound,
We had an annual gathering.
using shortcode has a lot of regulatory requirements. Can you use 10-digit numbers? Can you use regular 10-digit number to inbound campaign like business?
25 international numbers.
Regulatory okay?
Most countries, yes, but not every country. You do need to check that with countries. The question was, is using a long code or long phone number for inbound text for company work. Yes, normally you can in most countries, but some countries, yeah, do regulate it. And not normally. The U.S. regulates broadcast. Honestly, the U.S. is the one that regulates the most that I've ever found. Probably India being the second regulations, but I haven't done much work there.
It's a huge issue in the United States, so even just making the call to action without putting some client language in there about standard messaging rates should apply, even making a verbal call to action, anytime in the US, you're asking someone, because there's can't spam rules. We don't want to grab these numbers and then spam them. So there are lots of requirements
And keywords can be a great way.
regulated by the Can't Spam Act, and then the Mobile Marketing
Maybe
Association
it's
is very
come to
active
the website, have them be
in
able to
helping
go to the
create,
website and get out.
unfortunately,
But
rules and regulations.
Have
for
them
carriers.
always have a way
Because
of
again,
doing it.
carriers are after making their money, so they don't want
But
anybody who's
people
long.
love contests, surveys,
Cutting in
things
out their
like that.
profit in terms of the short, selling the short codes and.
Right. Maybe you're
And it is a
collecting
speed
them.
issue, the short codes.
Maybe this is something.
And I just wanted to mention one thing, Courtney, too, is that one of the things we see most do is message
Email
schedule.
addresses.
Being able to send out scheduled messages where they're pre-populated, ready to go, queued up, and, you know, and people can then, or autoresponder, where I send a queue up in the 30 days I get,
Don't be a spammer. Say, hey, would you
text that comes in,
check
so you
mark
can text
this
in like
to sign up
WJT
to
for what we
receive
use text,
these texts or whatever?
59769, and it will start you on
Have that be a part of it.
7 days of getting text with a quote from Jesus,
Signs.
and off the open question.
I did,
So
we
that
did
whole
billboards in
concept of
Istanbul
delivering
for
meaningful
people to
content
text in.
is a really
This
good
particular
use of
one is
in the
to pay for parking in the Netherlands. You go in and you text. Last year I talked about different types of text to get your parking paid, so you can work in the city. Signs are can be a way. Traditional marketing can be a way to do it. Through billboards, print ads, things like that. One of the nice things about text messaging, similar to like QR codes, if you're familiar with those, is it is a transition from the physical world to the digital world, because it's something that people can do easily. So that can be a part of your thing. Frontline SMS,
Yeah, that requires.
marketing,
I'm just saying almost instant.
then go live. Do we blow it up? No, do a beta. Always do a test group, run through, always things like that. It's your basic software development process. But yeah, go live. I'm not going to go through all these things because these are and evaluate and assess. I've never done anything. Always going through. Are we making the things? So, are we reaching those end goals that we're trying to accomplish? Yes. So, with that, your SMS checklist, pretty simple. Go through, and you've got your campaign. And back to if you want to contact me. Text messaging does have an email address to get delivered to the device. Check back. With that, any questions? Like my SMS.
On the, can you text answers to various fields in one SMS text, for example, a comma separated, for example, like a 5-question quiz, and
You see the check marks?
A, E, B,
You can do that. You wouldn't do it with a normal keyword. You would probably process it like I would, being a default web programmer, I would just have it all, send that all into a PHP script that evaluates it, parses it and evaluates it. I actually have done that. I did a quiz with a bunch of teenagers one time, and they gave me the phone numbers, and I texted it out to them the first question, and it was multiple choice. And if they texted the wrong answer back, it said, nope, try again. And until they got the right answer, and then it would send them the next question, and it was a series of 5 questions. We actually did it as a speed quiz. And the first team to get it right sat down and won a prize. So, does that answer your question? Back there?
For inbound, using short code has a lot of regulatory requirements. Can you use 10-digit numbers? Can you use regular 10-digit number to run an inbound campaign for a business? Is it regulatory okay?
Most countries, yes, but not every country. You do need to check that with countries. The question was, is using a long code or long phone number for inbound text for company work. Yes, normally you can in most countries, but some countries, yeah, do regulate it, but not normally. The U.S. regulates broadcast. Honestly, the U.S. is the one that regulates the most that I've ever found. Probably India being the second regulations, but I haven't done much work there. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a huge issue in the United States. So even just making the call to action without putting certain compliance language in there about standard messaging rates may apply, even making a verbal call to action. Anytime in the U.S. when you're asking someone, because there's spam rules, they don't want you grabbing numbers and then spamming them. So there are lots of requirements and regulated by the Spam Act, and then the Mobile Marketing Association is very active in helping create, unfortunately, rules and regulations that support the carriers. Because again, the carriers are after making their money, so they don't want anybody using long codes because long codes cut them out of their profit in terms of selling the short codes.
Right.
And it is a speed issue with short codes too.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention one thing, Courtney, too, is that one of the things we see the most used is message scheduling. Being able to send out scheduled messages where they're pre-populated and ready to go and queued up, and and people can then, or autoresponder, where I send a keyword and then for 30 days I get, text that comes in. So you can text in like WWJT for what would Jesus text to 59769, and it will start you on 7 days of getting text with a quote from Jesus and the thought-provoking question. So that whole concept of delivering meaningful content is a really good use of SMS in the church market.
Yeah, last year I talked about different types of campaigns you can do. This year was how to do it.
Most of what I'm seeing up here requires either minimal or, in some cases, more extensive programming side of things in order to get that level of interactivity. Is there, something really simple? For example, if you're doing a presentation here and you want to have the questions come to you via SMS and immediately appear on the screen, is there a way to do that?
Frontline SMS.
Yeah, that requires a down. I'm just saying almost instantly. It's like on an instant basis. If you're sitting here, oh man, I forgot to, and you go, let's get some feedback from the crowd. Is there anything you can do in like 10 seconds or 5 minutes, basically? Just set something up really quick to get that kind of feedback.
Yes.
Ask her.
Okay.
I've never done anything to that level.
Okay. I'll just check.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Okay. Yes, one more.
If you send a text through SMS to a house phone, not a smartphone or not a, is there a way to get the kickback that you sent to an invalid number?
No. Text messaging does have sometimes, did it get delivered to the device, and you can have that checked back. In some systems, you can have that. Like the My SMS, when I send them, I hope I'm not sharing anything I'm not supposed to with my wife. Let's go with my boss. You see the check marks next? That means when I send them, they received it. So those would be the things that you would look for and the systems to have that check. Now you got to understand, in some countries, landlines can receive text messages. Like I live in Germany, and our landlines receive text messages.
Same in England.
Go ahead.
Same in England.
Same in England. So, okay. Well, I appreciate your all's time. I'll be around this whole conference if you have more questions, and love to talk to you more.